Hello, hello. Welcome to Leap Taken. I'm Mika. Here at Leap Taken, I talk all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. Welcome to my witchy review. I got my 90s style going today. Since I was someone who was in the 90s and I lived it. Most of my 20s were spent in the 90s. I realized that. Um, so this was, I don't have all the pieces. I'd like to tell you I still fit all the clothes I wore in the 90s. Otherwise, I would have kept it, but this is what I end up doing. So, very 90s, the top like this, and a pair of just blue jeans, like what they call the mom jeans, nothing too much, but yeah. So I figure I dress, and also, let me move my stuff out the way. I also have a margarita. This is watermelon because I wanted watermelon. So I am here today. Hey, gemstones. So in the 90s, before I get into this movie, one of the things a lot of us did, cute, and thank you. Yes, we are doing, let me get my cocktail in. Yeah, here we go. Hey, hello. So in the 90s, one of the things that we did was we wore more matte lipstick. We didn't wear a lot of eye makeup, and we didn't do a lot with our eyebrows. Now I'm gonna put my glasses on because I can't see, but that's okay. But we wore like a lot of chocolates and stuff like that. So and it's funny because this color is not something I usually wear just straight because as you get older, I don't know, I feel like these it could be a little more harsh on your skin as you get older, anyway, that's another conversation, but I would, if I would have this today, and this is dang, I forgot the brand. Anyway, Juvia's Place. Um, what I would do is I would use this, but I would also use, and I did actually put another thing on here, but I would also use it even lighter. I would turn this into three different lipsticks, and I would have um, lip liner on as well, and maybe I would add in a little gloss. That's how I would do it today. But modern times. But I thought it'd be fun to come in 90s style. I forgot I had this. I've had this for a while, but I barely wore it. So I think that this might be the second time I've ever worn a shirt. What a problem to have. The movie Practical Magic. So I've seen Practical Magic. I don't even a lot of times, but I watched it again this morning to be fresh for this video. So I have all my notes and I'm ready to get into this. Um, I'm just a girl who loves that movie forever, forever. Anyway, and I figure I wanted to make this part of the Hot Witch Summer series because why not? But yeah, let's because y'all know I'll go on a full on tangent. But with this movie, the point is I'm going to be talking about love in all its forms, loss, power, ancestral wounds, sisterhood, domestic magic, um, and which this is why I picked this because Hot Witch series is about kind of standing out there and putting yourself out there and having the courage to live your magic out loud. And that's going to look different for everybody. So, why does this movie still hit? Do you notice? One thing I noticed is I wanted to talk about this movie. In the meantime, other people are currently talking about this movie. It's coming up on YouTube, TikTok. They're talking about on TikTok having a Practical Magic Summer. I love the books too. That's another conversation about the deep dive into the books because when I talk about the books, I think I'm gonna talk about the entire all of it, the series, like the prequel, everything. And I cannot wait. Let's just be clear. I cannot wait until they come out with part two. It'll be in 2026, but hopefully, the world as we know it can still exist because y'all know. But anyway, On the positive side, 2026 we get to see in the fall. I think it's going to be September. Practical Magic 2. Just know it's going to be a whole thing. All right. Practical Magic, released in 1998. Um, Thinking back, and I did a little digging, it wasn't it wasn't as people thought, oh, well, everybody was witchy. Not necessarily back then. It wasn't, excuse me, it wasn't really, the witchy aesthetic wasn't popping as much for like it is like as it would once like charm came and all that sort of stuff. It was there, but not quite. But Practical Magic really set a precedent for like mainstream. Obviously, other witches existed. I'm not saying that, but y'all know what I mean. Like for the pop culture aspect, the movie. The reason I think it still endures is because it's centered on women's power, um, inherited magic. That's a theme that a lot of people are still interested in. Feminine rage, sensuality, and domesticity. One of the things people were like crazy about was that dang on house. We know for a fact there are people, or it was rumored that there were people who had the money to go buy the house. They wanted to buy the house, and then they were told, "Oh, this is just a movie set, a temporary construction. It doesn't exist." But that house left permanent memories in people's, not memories. What I was going to say, imprint in people's psyche because that house was so gorgeous. By the way, one of the things that I do when I use the margarita, because I care about my cut, I don't want to do too much. I mix this lime sparkling water in it. And so it's watermelon margarita. And I cut it with this. So I'm not just getting all the sugary. It's a mix. And I don't want to have that much tequila this early in the day. I mean, I'm all down for a fun day drinking day. I don't do it all the time. So this is a special treat for me. All right. But yeah, that house, as I watched it this morning and I'm looking at the kitchen, I'm going to go into my kitchen and rearrange some things because it appeals to the hearth cottage witch in my spirit. And I was just looking like, dang, I love this house. Like, I just love the layout of everything from what we saw. That kitchen, though. And then let me off track. Let me get back. Let me come back. You get my point. I'm excited. I also had a cup of coffee this morning. I'm a tea drinker. I had a bit of a migraine. I woke up this morning. I knew it was turning into a migraine. And if you ever want to know a quick way to resolve that, add some caffeine into your life. The kitchen was fabulous. Add some caffeine and it cleared it up. Since I'm not drinking coffee on a regular basis and I'm just a tea drinker, this caffeine is doing what it's supposed to do. I am like running in my brain. Even though I'm literally sitting on the edge of the seat. I got to pull it together, but it's fun. This is fun, Nika. So y'all, it's good. As long as I don't crash. Anyway, it's the mundane made magical, right? They didn't have a lot of dramatic CGI. They did a couple effects, but it wasn't too dramatic. This movie was about herbs, the book or books, and a lot about grief. And somehow all of that kind of made it feel more real, like the magic was real. It felt like something we could step into. Excuse me. It felt like something we could step into. I think that's why the movie endures for so long, because a lot of people feel like they can live out their own variation of practical magic. Me. So, and I'm at the age where I can put myself in the mindset of either of the sisters or the aunts. Listen, there's something to be said for that. So, I'm going to tie this into my Hot Witch Summer. So, and I make my note here. This is Hot Witch Summer energy before it had a name, in my opinion. So Aunt Jet, Aunt Frances, they're radiating unbothered, magical auntie vibes. So that's something I'd like to exhibit. The Wall Garden Midnight Potions. margaritas, the sensual confidence. Really, no, absolutely. If you think about it, no real apologies in this movie, but that's kind of the vibe. Um, I'm kind of pushing us to have for this summer, kind of like a sensual confidence. I want to point that out because that's kind of a big deal, tapping into your feminine power. And yes, and maybe an occasional midnight potion, but you get what I'm saying. It's just those magical vibes, and basically just being confident. That's what Hot Witch Summer is about. If you are a practitioner of sorts, hope you can use this energy that's available for all of us. And kind of, if you've been kind of like, not really doing your thing, not really in your full power, this is your opportunity to kind of resonate with this summer solstice energy, where things are a little bit more wilder. Things get a little bit more exciting. It can be, you can make your magic a little bit more exciting. I want to talk about the aunts specifically as entrepreneurs. So I told you I wanted to talk about this movie a little differently from how everybody else talks about it, because you've heard about practical magic. We've all had it. So we can, there's a lot to talk about that you've already talked about. So, but I want to talk about Aunt Jet and Frances, not just living magic, they monetized it. That's important. I'm just saying. I wanted to highlight that. Um, and they did it in a way where obviously because they didn't have jobs. Now, Aunt Frances, was it Frances or Aunt Jet? I think it was Aunt Frances is the one who, whoever she was with, they die, her husband. And she, based on the curse in the family, that's another conversation. But I feel like she might have got some money from that. She might, because how they afford that house? We gonna talk about the practicalities of practical magic. How are they keeping them grounds up? Where they get money from to travel? Remember they went to their solstice celebration. Where they get the money to do all this stuff? The spell game must really be going, really hot and heavy in that town. I'm just saying, because where they get the money from. But I digress. Women from that town, if you remember, women from that town came secretly for love spells. I assume hexes and charms as well, but they paid for them. This is kind of, to me, like kind of a soft but powerful depiction of spiritual entrepreneurship. They didn't click, again, they didn't clock into anybody's job. They sold their magic, their knowledge, their skills. So, and the thing that I like that it showed, and this was not like a major highlight, but if you're paying attention, as somebody who my business is spiritual business, they did it without compromising who they were. I think that's like witch boss energy. A lot of people misconstrue what that is, but I'll continue. That's the kind of, to me, like abundance, freedom, in alignment I want all this summer. Well, I want in general, but I definitely want to exhibit this summer. I'm, getting into this energy. I don't like the conversation that I should be like, y'all don't know, but I'm just telling you. I've had these conversations that maybe I should be doing things for free. And I have, I mean, I don't talk about it because it's people's personal business, but I have done a lot of work for others for free. A lot. For people, I'm not even talking about just people I'm not related to. People I only met like online and everything, but I consider them real friends. And I don't regret it. But it's interesting to me that for some people, and I've been, when I was making my notes, I was really thinking about this. It's kind of, I gotta thank you. And I accepted it. And I was not begrudgingly, I sincerely accepted the thank you. I'm just saying though, wouldn't it be, when someone does work for you, if somebody does a reading for you, give them some. It don't have to be money. Give them some. Send them flowers. Send them, if especially if it was money spell, if you get on, hook them up. You know, Take them out to eat, make something to eat for them, go for drinks, something, give them something, make something for them. That's an exchange of energy, and it's respectful to do so. I try to remember that as well. I don't have a lot of people doing readings for me, but in the past, I remember I was going through something. It was real bad, y'all. And one of my friends said, this is years ago, she said, and I was doing witchcraft, but I was clearly, I still needed help. So I was talking to a friend, and I was really distraught about all the stuff that was going on. And she told me to talk to her other friend. That was her friend, not mine, but her friend, who was a psychic medium. That was her business. And when I talked to her, I was explaining things. And it's so funny, years later, I was in this exact situation where a friend of a friend asked me to talk to someone that they knew, or my friend asked me to talk to their friend. Long story short, she's the person who let me know all those years ago. Okay, she talked to me. She said, well, I have a website. And she said, you can make a donation. She said, a donation. This is how this woman ate and how she fed her household off of her spiritual business. This was her business. So, me just taking up her knowledge and energy to resolve my issue, it wasn't enough just to say thank you. I was going through some spiritual stuff. It was not good. And it was affecting everything. So me just saying thank you was not going to be enough. So I did that. I remember at the time, like, oh, because you're so caught up in your own stuff, it's not dawning on you that I need to also exchange energy. There's this idea that nothing's really ever for free. I'm just say that nothing's ever. Energy is exchanged. I wouldn't say it's for free. And stop looking down on people who want to be paid for their services. That's all I'm saying. Some people really think it should be free. Now, the pricing and all that is another conversation on how much people charge. That's another conversation. But free, not so much. Honestly, people don't respect it when it's free. I've done free classes before. I did a free course on cottagecore years ago. Um, I don't think people respect things that are free. I'm gonna just say that. Not everybody, but a lot of people. They want to if they see it's a value tied to it, they respect it more. Anyway, how many of us, not me, but y'all, how many of y'all are still afraid to charge for readings? Or for spell work for that matter? Um, for the years of wisdom that we carry in our bones, if you've been doing this for a while, the aunties, Aunt Frances and Jet, they didn't add, or I should say, glamorize it, but they just did it, right? And I'd like to be sort of like that as well. um, and they made space for their lifestyle. And I would just say from this movie, that's not something talked about enough, but maybe take notes if you are someone who is thinking about doing a spiritual business, or you want to maybe start charging for readings or something like that. Take note. The way they did it, it was just like to me, it was their lifestyle. Um, you don't have to put on as a character either. That's another conversation. I have a question for y'all. What's one witchy skill you think you might be able to sell or share if you really owned your power? So that's going to be, is it divination, or you say tarot, or is it spell work itself? Is it a certain, like, enchanted objects? For some of us, maybe it's jewelry. You can make enchanted jewelry. Maybe you're good at potions. What's your thing? Maybe you have you can grow hair, like you can create potions and oils and shampoos and things like that. You're really good at, you're a green witch, so everything you touch grows. If you don't want to answer, start thinking about it. All right, so I want to talk about love, loss, and breaking curses. The Owens curse. Honestly, it's generational trauma, right? Being punished for loving too hard. And then there's Sally playing small to protect herself. Gillian tries to escape, uh, but runs into more danger, more harm. Uh, I've had to look at what I was taught about love, thinking about this movie, especially as a Black woman and a witch. Uh, Reading Stone with Cowrie Shells. Ooh. um, and thinking about, like, was I told that I had to suffer to prove my worth? That love comes after pain. And the movie doesn't just show a curse, it kind of gives a model to how to break it as well. Love was the answer, spoiler. Um, I remember a movie years back, Boomerang, with Eddie Murphy, Halle Berry, Robin Givens. It was a big deal at the time. And I remember Halle Berry's role, and her character said, "Love isn't supposed to hurt, or love's not supposed to hurt." That resonated with me and my friend group at the time because I was like, "Yeah, love isn't supposed to." And we kind of ran with that a little bit in our personal lives. Like, love is not supposed to hurt. Like, why is this hurting? And up until that point, like, a lot of us, we were out here getting our feelings hurt all the dang on time in the name of love. But why did we stay? Why did we put up with so much? This movie had me kind of thinking about that kind of stuff. For the Hot Witch Summer tie-in, we're not playing small anymore. We're not toning down our shine to avoid judgment. This movie, it when I looked at it again this morning, I'm like, this teaches love and power are not mutually exclusive. And Hot Witch Summer is about choosing both, breaking every curse that kind of has come across our way that told us we couldn't. Anybody, anything that told us we couldn't, right? So my question for you guys was, what curse or pattern are you breaking this summer? And I'm going to share mine because it's kind of it's a big deal. My curse that I'm breaking this summer, and I've already started because it's summer here. Yeah, I know it's not the solstice yet, but trust me, it's over 100 degrees. Mine is dreaming big and using my magic to dream even bigger. When you have been practicing for a very long time, you can run into this little trap of playing more small than you realize. Now, there's different, we all got different aspects of ourselves. So there's the writer, Mika, who put out the Book of Shadows. They're selling. I'm very proud of myself. I'm very happy about that. I'm still working on some other things that are going to be coming out. I'm very excited about that. And then I have other things that I'd like to do. And that's where I'm dreaming big on, well, what would that look like? How does that come across? And it's like, oh, I think to myself sometimes, the market's oversaturated with certain things. Well, they haven't had a leap taken, Mika leap taken, whatever that thing is. So, you know what? I'll make room for myself. Also, when it comes to just other aspects of my life, not just business, I realize I have been kind of playing a little small, more so out of a warped sense of just be grateful for all the spells and all the things you manifested that did work. You know, it's a funny thing. The longer you practice, how you can kind of land into this. Gemstone says, I'm breaking the curse that has kept me quiet and small. Please do. Please do. Because one thing, as these years, these days, these weeks, months go by very quickly, we are we're on limited time here. And all of us, we're all adults. The clock is ticking. And while I still have the energy, the gumption, the body to pull it off, to do things, I want to do it. And the knowledge is firm in me. And I want to tap into that wisdom. And I want to dream big. And I want to use more magic to cast to make the dreams into reality. And I don't want to put barriers around my dreams and the things I want to desire. I want all the things. I want to do the things. I want a lot. I want to do a lot. Empress Gal says the curse when you want to do something, others insist you do something else and not the way you want or where you want. Okay. Oh my gosh, yes. So I'm going to share something with you as well, you guys. So my son's out of the military. Woohoo! Especially, well, dude, I'm grateful. And unscathed. So he's out. He gave 6 years of his early adult life for the military. Love him, and he's good. He's good. He's out. He's good. And this all just happened, and he's he has to build a civilian life now. So he's going to be going to school and doing all this next chapter in his life. And one of the things I realize is because I've not been around my son during these formative adult years, basically his early 20s, I've seen visits, but sometimes he might maybe come home once, maybe twice a year. I went to visit him twice in the 6 years that he was gone. Mind you, well, you all know how military works. I'm not going to get into that. But I went to where he had been for the longest twice. But he always came here, and he came here usually for holidays or like birthdays and stuff like that. I would make him FaceTime because I wanted to put my eyes on him. And I would just like put him on my iPad, and we would just go about the house and do things. Sometimes we wouldn't be talking, but it was like he was here. But I realize now that this 6'3" man, broad shoulders, not skinny anymore, very much an adult male, when he just lets himself in, like, for all I know, he could be popping in the next hour because he just pops in now. When this grown man comes into my house, I realize we still got to get to know each other because I'm like, there's so much to him that didn't translate on those FaceTime calls and in those short visits. And my daughter pointed it out and said, Mommy, is it maybe you're being more performative when he's around than you realize? Like you're treating it like a visit. I mean, he's visiting us at our house, but he's not visiting. He lives here now. And I realized, I was like, huh. When she said that, that kind of just like something unlocked in my brain. And I was like, how many other places am I being performative and I don't realize it? And that's something now that it's on my radar, I am very cognizant and I'm paying attention in other aspects of my life. For instance, like in friendships or we're just going to say relationships across the board. And I'm like, wow, first of all, she's like really smart. But I was like, yeah, I am doing that. So that's something else. Like I said, there's other aspects of my life, whereas you don't realize you're putting these weird parameters and barriers on things that you want. And that's just kind of more of a mundane thing, but that's another thing that I'm also working on because I'm like, I know him. I made him. I know who he is. Like, why am I being so weird about this? It's just time. I just need more time. And I think my brain has to adjust to him not leaving. When he would, in those early days, when he would go leave after the visit, I was wrecked, crying like into myself. I was so sad. It never felt right that my son was gone. It was very hurtful every time, but I didn't want to broadcast that to them because that's mean. Don't put that on your kids. Don't do that. But I think and I probably put those barriers up to protect myself all these years, but now I don't have to. But I don't know how to. I've been struggling with stopping that. So that's another thing I'm working on. Gemstone says I never thought of using magic to stop the curse of being quiet and small, releasing my loud and wild self. Oh yeah, that's good to ritualize that. That's definitely something you can ritualize. So let me see. The next thing I'm gonna talk. Oh, as I said, this Midnight Margaritas and living out loud. That was my next note. So the Midnight Margarita scene, of course, is iconic. To me, it blends joy, ritual, music, and community. Which makes me think of kitchen witchery, food and drink as spell work, tools, and it also makes me think of casual rituals, that have real impact. So I started talking about coffee versus tea and all that sort of stuff. Whatever your choice of beverages first thing in the morning, that is one of the easiest things to ritualize, to speak your intentions into, to whatever, make a sigil when with your spoon as you stir it together, or if it's water, enchant that water first thing, maybe prior to. um if you want to start taking like solar water or moon water and using that and then consuming it first thing in the morning, oh child, that's another thing to kind of ritualize. And it's a casual ritual, but it can definitely have real impact as you do that, because you've already spelled it, you've already put your enchantment and intentions on it, and you're using either solar magic or lunar magic to give it that extra oomph. I thought about, like, every time they laugh, stir, or sing. Remember this, the iconic scene. But they were casting, and we're like in the movie, we're seeing this for the first time, but clearly this is a ritual. This is something they do, Midnight Margaritas. But it's all coming from a place of fun and joy. It's spell work that lives in the body, not just the brain. Last night, for instance, I was filming this, but even when I'm not, this is just me. I was making dinner, and since I'd already tried out the margarita yesterday, uh, so I had a glass, and I'm chopping, and I'm making a good dinner and everything, and I have my music going, and there's just joy. There's just I was happy. I was excited. In general, I have a lot of good things happening. So I'm overfilled with joy, and I'm making this food. And that food was real good too. It was delicious because I was drawing up the energy, conjuring up that energy, and then everything I was doing, I was putting that in. So my mind, how I felt, my vibe translated. When we ate it, I got even more of it back. That whole reciprocal thing, by the way. Anyway, and I got it back. So did I conjure up the energy? I released it into what I was preparing, and then I consumed it. So I got it right back. And because when I ate, I felt satisfied. I felt good. I felt all the feelings I was feeling that I had when I was cooking the food. That's a lot of kitchen magic right there. That's how it works. That aspect. It depends on what you're doing, obviously, and what your intention is. Um, I like that they didn't really. Okay, let's talk about this. They didn't need a fancy altar. Think about that in the movie. Well, specifically about this, they just had the tequila lime music and intention. Um, a lot of that's kind of the heart of like my cottage witch practice. So that's how I kind of live anyway. Um, But you can create your own midnight margarita night. Maybe it's not midnight, maybe it's 9 p.m. and that's as late as you go. But just think, intentions, drink, movement equals ritual. I was dancing around my kitchen, and I had my intention of just joy, celebration, feeling satisfied because things have gone my way. I had did something and things had went my way, so I was really happy and excited, and I felt satisfied about that. Um, so you see what I'm saying? So that was my intention. And then in my case, it wasn't a drink, it was food. But you get my point. Create a drink. Maybe it's not that, maybe it's something else, maybe it's tea. But you get my point. But this becomes a ritual. Maybe there's a certain night, like a Friday night. Maybe it's self-love. So you want to create a self-love margarita potion or something like that, or drink. And your intention is to love on yourself more, to recognize your own beauty inside and out. Do you guys have do you make does anybody here make midnight margaritas? Let me just ask that. Or what's your signature summer drink or potion, or what would you like it to be? My summer drink is going to be sweet tea, and it's going to herbal tea. Iced, obviously. I want, yeah, that's my thing. Some hibiscus tea. I've been playing around with the combination of jasmine and mint. Delicious. Fireballs. I like you. Well, we're going to take it in that route. The margarita itself, you can't go wrong with a margarita. Come on. But a fireball, yeah, that'll do it. I like fireball. um, I want to talk about the home as a sacred space. The Owens house, which I alluded to, is a magical character in itself. The house alone is its own thing. Cottagecore meets ancestral magic meets apothecary is the best way to describe it. Oh, I love that house. Look again, since I got it in my head. It's a couple things I'm going to go in my kitchen today and move around because I want a little bit more of that. Um, Domestic spaces as altars, right? As a cottage witch, this house is kind of my dream, and the outside garden and all that. Like, come on, this is my dream. I don't want to move back to the Northeast to fulfill this dream. I feel like I could make this happen. Probably like in California. I don't want to go to the East Coast. I could probably make this in a desert. It gets different. It would just be a different look. I know there are gardeners here who they give tips. Listen, I'm following them on YouTube and TikTok on trying to figure out like how to grow things and make it and it not die here in the desert. Um, and they seem to have things thriving and it's green. I'm fighting to make that happen on a small scale here, but I'm learning. So I don't know if I could create that look of the house. Here is my point. It would be a fake version because I think everything would just die. But you get my point. For me as a cottager, seriously, that house is like a dream for me. Um, every garden row that they had to me was like a spell. Where you walk, like if you remember the garden, it was so neat, but a little wild at the same time. Um, I would love to have that. But Hot Witch Summer says enchant your space. Um, maybe it's a shelf, maybe it's your altar, or a jar of moon water, or glass of moon water on the windowsill. Whatever it is, enchant it. This movie makes me remember that as well. Um, Not that I really forgot because that's a large part of my practice, but it invites new things into my head on how to enchant my domicile even more. Today I was, like my plant over here, the bottom leaves, wait, that one, the bottom leaves came off, but I have new life here. And to me, that's not just, oh, that's just the plant. Oh, no big deal. That's telling me a story. I've experienced a tower moment recently. So that plant to me is letting me know the old that those pieces have fallen like in a tower. Everything is just like on the ground, and it's time to find what can be salvaged and make something new. And that plant is a metaphor for that for me, and kind of like a reminder. And that all just happened. Those leaves came off, and that was to me my signal. That was my tower, that the tower moment has occurred and we're out of that phase and we're on to the new, because those are beautiful new leaves that have popped up. And that's how things work for me. That's how cottage witchery works for me. And I know that now. And I know, okay, that moment's over, and now it's time to build something new, something fresh, something new. And I'm doing that. But that anyway, that's the to me, like with their house told them things. For instance, when Sally walked out the door, when it's toward the end of the movie, and she wants to go tell the police officer that came there, remember, she wants to tell him everything. So when she slams the door and there's like glass panes, the glass breaks, and Jillian immediately starts feeling sick and in pain because the ghost. I'm assuming everybody has seen this movie. Mr. Angelov is his spirit is attacking her, or wanting to truly actually possess her, but he's killing her from the inside. Um, that door breaks, the glass breaks, Now that door has probably been shut a billion, not billion, but thousands of times in that house, right? And probably slammed. So that wasn't an accident. It was a sign, right? With the glass breaking. Things are not okay. Things are breaking. Things are very wrong here. And tempers are up. They're witches. And it affected. But the house itself, again, was a character in the movie, and it would show that. So kind of like here for me, I live that. When I've had feelings living here that there was, even though I was in a house by myself, I felt like there was a presence. And there was just a random noise. This is not an old house. Nothing is settling. That doesn't really happen here. This is new construction. That's not a thing here. So, I mean, houses settle, yes, but it's been some years now. And these are noises I don't normally hear. So it'll be like something, and I've already felt the presence, and I'm hearing a noise. I know the house is telling me we got a visitor. Somebody's here. It's not the spirit. The house itself is telling me. Um, yeah, that's just that the movie makes me think about that. I do want to ask. Oh, and Briscoe says a warning and things do break when negative stuff tries to get it. Exactly. That is yeah. Yeah. I got a couple of those stories of the house letting me know things. I'll just leave it there. Uh if your house had a magical signature scent or look, what would it be? My the signature scent is going to be clean laundry. That smell, like, yeah, what you expect for clean laundry, like detergent, I guess, smell, kind of. Um, Linen scent. That's my signature scent that I honestly try to go for. Um, and the look is whimsical, cozy. I told you my haunted stuff. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I hate that we've all been haunted. Maybe frankincense or rose. That's a good one. I would say rose, not right now. Your signature scent, the magical signature scent of your house can change. Maybe it's different based on the season. For me right now, that fresh smell of clean laundry or laundry hanging on a line, that's my jam. And that's the scent that I would prefer in the house. Although, of course, I burn other herbs. For instance, I was burning incense right before we started, and that was a Palo Santo rose incense, and it smells earthy and divine. But ultimately, I want that clean linen smell. Now I want to talk about sisterhood, spell work, and standing in your power. So the townswomen, remember, is for the end. They finally show up. They were skeptics or former skeptics, but they became magical allies. Then there's Sally. She finds her strength in connection. Magic rooted in community, not isolation. So those are the points I wanted to talk about. So the townswomen. So of course, some of these townswomen would go, well, at least the one, yeah, they would go to the aunts for work, which is interesting. I want to kind of go back to the very beginning. If you think about the movie, when there's a woman who wants this man so bad, she killed the bird and the spell to make it possible. Um, I'll just and the girl's reaction to that, Sally, was like, I hope I never fall in love. So much that she created that spell so that she would never fall in love. She created somebody who couldn't possibly exist, although we know he does exist. And then we have uh Jillian, Jilly, who says, I can't wait to fall in love. she um I probably, when I was younger, a little more like Jilly, little Jillian. Yeah, I wanted that. I wanted to have those experiences when I was young. I definitely wanted to have that. Um, but it's interesting to see how as they grew, Jillian just wearing her heart on her sleeve, she couldn't live in that town and be with those people because they saw her vulnerable in just wanting to love and to be loved. And since she was different, they held it against her as as a witch. And Sally just wanted to conform to fit into the community. And it's just interesting how, in the end, these people who really complicated these young girls' lives in the absence of both their parents being gone, um, would also play a pivotal role in saving them at the end of the movie. And it kind of just lets you know that community does matter. They're kind of showing that. And that I guess that, people they could turn around. They don't always have to be. I mean, it was a movie. I'm just going to say this, but I have found some of that is true. There's some truth to that. There are people in my life, certain family members, who didn't really get the whole witch thing with me. But now that more time has gone by, just like in the movie where there was like, they're giving examples of, their own witchy experiences. They now talk like that now. Oh, it's a full moon. You know what that means? Like they'll say that to me now. I'm just saying, people can come around, and maybe with some of these people, you might have an opportunity to build community. Sometimes, some people. I'm not advocating for you to try to change anybody's mind or make them like you or anything like that. Don't do that. Don't be a Sally. uh, Sally finds her strength in connection. Her attempting to be introverted, because she really wasn't an introvert. She was going within to, spare herself. But when she finally stopped trying to be the same and be normal, she was able to find her strength in that connection to be who she really was and to step into her power, into her gifts. True power isn't just in solitary strength, it's also in being witnessed, accepted, and held. That's where, to me, I think a lot of the healing begins, or happens, I should say. Happens, not begins. Me having a coven in one of the most pivotal transitional phases of my adult life was so important to have that connection to magical people. Um, it helped in my healing process at the time. I started the coven in 2021. And when I first started that coven, I didn't know. Some of you might have been there. I didn't know. I was starting it kind of thinking the same thing, like how you see covens now, where it's not. It's basically just people kind of drop in, drop out, kind of like leap taken safe place, a safe place for witches. There's no commitment. You can add something, ask a couple questions, but there's no real commitment. And I just felt like spirit was telling me to create this community. Years later, I've had people, coven sisters, come and go. Some come back more than once, some leave and never come back. Some just, it just didn't work out, or they just disappeared. But the point is, even in all of that, what's left is real magic and real people, real witches, who have grown closer since 2021. It's 2025 now, and we're going. It's much smaller, but we're going strong. And it's something. It turned into something I couldn't even conceptualize at the time, but I wanted it to be so. And that's the best thing I could have done. I'm glad I listened to that little whisper that spirit was given. It wasn't loud, it wasn't a nagging thing. So it wasn't ego. It was really a whisper from spirit telling me to do that. And it's the best thing I could have ever done. They're family now. We're all family. Um, so community is important. And it also, that sisterhood has been beneficial for me, again, like I said, in this transition, the transitional phase that I have gone through over these years. But even now, at this stage of when I'm being honest about wanting to dream even bigger, there are magical people who will help me do that. And just like I help them, but they'll help me do that. They lend energy to make that possible. I love that. That community thing is actually a really big deal. If you can find your community, hold on. As long as it's reciprocal. Because remember about this energy exchange I'm kind of hinting at. It's not just one-sided. You shouldn't be the only one extending, and they shouldn't be the only people. It should be reciprocal. And everybody feels honored and respected. Um, they're not a we're not a support group. And that's something we learned over time as a coven as well. Um, we're not there to constantly, yeah, we're not a support group. We're a coven of witches who do magic and some other mundane stuff in between. But we can be supportive, but that's not our purpose to be a support group. Be careful when you are if you're building your own coven or you're going into a coven. Unless you want a support group, fine. But if you're not looking for that, that's a lot of work. And if you are not trained to be a therapist or a psychologist or anything in that, I would tell you don't do that. Be mindful if you're going into an environment where it's more of a support group. I'll leave that there. But the thing again, I'll just wrap this up. We kind of about this coven part. We show up, we share our magic, and we make space for transformation. Even though because it's a virtual coven, even if we're miles apart. And thinking this movie I thought about that because their sisterhood connection. In the end, that's what saved Jilly. Remember the blood spell that they did, and they put their hands together. So in the end, that's what saved her. That love, that was blood magic, but we don't do that. But your connection to your sister, that can be really strong. Women connecting on the same page. That's why people who are religious, in their minds, well, it was the power of the God, their God that made this possible. It's like the power was in y'all coming together, especially as women or men who are tapped into their feminine, and you get together and you get to praying or whatever y'all are doing the magic. That's where the magic is coming. It's coming from y'all. I grew up seeing that, of the power, and you say, oh, that's the power of prayer. I'm not going to fight them about that, but I know it's who's doing the prayer. The women collecting, like, as a collective, and they're all like with the same intention. That's powerful. Look at protests with women specifically. Look what women can do. That's why they fear us so much. And again, men who are more in touch with their feminine. Look how they treat men who are in touch, whether that's however that manifests. I'm not getting into too much of that, but you have an idea when I say even straight hetero men who are in touch with their feminine and everything else in between. People, some women, but definitely other men, they are bothered by them existing. And especially if they're in community with women, it's a problem. But I do have a question for y'all. Have you had a moment when you had to call in support to cast something powerful? And I don't mean this like in a support group and you're breaking down way, like support, you want to help to cast something powerful. Do you guys have that? Um, I didn't always have that. And I wasn't even working with ancestors or anything like that. I was just working with spirit, and I wasn't working with any deities at one point. So I was really out here just pulling it from within. um, but it is nice being able to call and support. If I wasn't using my coven, because I raised my daughter and my son into this practice, I could call on my daughter. My son now, mind you, I told you I'm dealing with this adult person coming back. I haven't asked him, but he's nice to me, and he loves his mom. So I think he would hold space. He was like, "What do you want me to do?" He wouldn't say no. He would be like, well, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to say? Something like that. But he wouldn't immediately say no. But I could use their energy if I really wanted to. If it wasn't something I wanted to use, like with my coven or something like that, I could use certain family members and friends as well. I'm grateful for that. If I wanted to like have a big powerful spell or ritual or something, mom, some and deity and ancestors always good. At this point, I could probably call my mom in. She's one of those people who is like, she probably didn't get that witch thing at first. But now, not virtually, but like if we're physically present and I was doing something, her curiosity alone, she would just want she'd be involved, like, well, what you doing? Well, what's gonna happen? Like she would just not she would want to be in the mix. Out of pure nosiness. But I love her. But that sometimes that's enough. Just be nosy. I'm okay with that. As long as you're not negative. Um, I'm trying to think now. Is there anybody else that's that? And these are non-technically magical people. Um, your mom too, like that. Like just she just want to know what's gonna happen and what I'm doing, just for the nosiness aspect. I love that for her. Okay, so the legacy of practical magic. Kind of just wrapping up and recapping. This movie is about grief, sensuality, sisterhood, and rebirth. Sally's grief was like, and then the legacy of the curse in their family where they lose, the men who love them. They didn't have any brothers. Is that grief was just like from Maria, their ancestor, that grief just like permeated through the entire line. But also about rebirth, because by the end of the movie, all of them were able to kind of come out of that. Magic that doesn't require perfection, just presence. So the Midnight Margaritas, that's a casual ritual. Just being present. The girls came downstairs as soon as they heard that blender. They knew the ritual began, and it's time to get the drinks on. Cheers. They knew it was time. But seriously though, yeah, that the maintenance of the garden is ritualistic. I love in the end how Sally opened up her apothecary, and even though she tried to keep it normal and like a natural place and all that, she's a witch. And her daughters knew it, and they were begging her along with everybody else to kind of step into her own, and at the end she did. But it involves sometimes a lot of magic just means just being present, as you, all of you, pulling out all of you and being present, not, you like, oh, no, fully you. um, the legacy of practical magic still teaches witches to live, love, and enchant boldly. The biggest takeaway for me after watching that movie, and that's again why I pulled it into this series, is to not play small, not dull your light, not to step into the spotlight and own your magic, own it. So I hope, with this Hot Witch Summer series, I hope it helps you to enchant your coffee or your tea, dress like the main character. I'm dressed. This is my ode to the '90s aesthetic, to the practical magic aesthetic. To take a risk on love. Yes, however that looks for you. Some of us is going to look a little different. Maybe it's adopting a pet. Uh, and if you want, sell your magical work, your spells. If you have oils, or if you're selling powders or herbs or readings, sell your stuff. And have joy in your heart while you do it. You're gonna have anxiety too, but make sure the joy is there as well. I don't know. To me, that's the legacy of practical magic. That there, all not one specific witch on there, but like a combination of all of them is the witch that I like to be. So the wisdom of the aunts, their business acumen, because they keeping that big house, that property going. Okay, whatever they doing is working. Uh, Sally and Jilly. Sally's just innate natural powers, and Jilly's just her ability to attract the way that she can. Yeah, I like all those aspects, and that's the kind of witch I want to be. So I have one more question. How are you embracing? How are you embracing your power this summer? What magic are you choosing to live out loud? So I asked that other question before, but like, how are you going to embrace it? How am I going to dream big? Um, Magic, more magic. Uh, yeah, and magic in all aspects. So it's everything from like last night, dancing around my kitchen while I'm chopping garlic, making a scampi. Um, it is having whether it's the fun margarita drink or something like that I made. It's making my own herbal tea blends that I've enchanted, and it's just to anybody else, it's just sweet tea, but it's a magical potion. And it's just remembering spells on spells on spells on spells. It's remembering that for me. Yeah, magic with a fierceness. I love that. Yeah, it's fun. There's a sensuality to things for me. It's all of that. So what magic are you choosing to live out loud? I'm choosing joy, celebration, joy, love. Yeah, because if I have love for it, not love for myself, yes, but whatever I love, it's so much easier for me to work with. Consequently, if I just I typically don't hate anything, but just to make my point, hate works the same way. It's the in between that gets the gray area with the spells. Hopefully it works, but strong love, strong hate, those spells are going to work either way for me. That in the past, that's kind of how my spell experience has shown. Very strong emotions, love or hate, is going to work. If I'm indifferent, that's where I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. Um, that's why I think the spell work I did for those that I truly care about, the people in life that I've done work for, and I care about them, it works because there's that connection. So one of the things that I've realized as well, watching this movie, back to the entrepreneur side of things, it's really, I know there are some people who do long distance spell work for others, and I'm not saying it couldn't work. I need to talk to you. I need to know you a little bit. Um, that's why I'm going to use some sort of divination when we're talking. I'm listening to you, but I'm trying to know you in the situation. I got to connect with you because I'm going to take something that I'm conjuring and bringing up, and I'm putting in an object or I'm putting it out into the universe, into the ethers for you. So if I'm doing that, I got to have a connection to you in some kind of way. I need to feel something for you. Um, I mean, honestly, even if I don't particularly care for you, that's something. I can work with it. I can work with it. That's usually not the case. I haven't done any work for anybody I don't like, but people I've been indifferent about, yeah, I have. But I don't sell spell work. By the way, the way I'm talking, it sounds like I sell. I'm not selling spells. I do readings, and my leap taken. My whole point is I help you to do the spell work. So I'm like right there, like, okay, you want to pick this? Do you know why you want to pick it? Well, let me tell you. Or you pick something. I was like, do you know how you could expand this? I'm going to give you all that wisdom, all that knowledge, and I'm going to help you build your practice as opposed to just doing it all for you. Empress Goth says the movie keeps me in line, and to remember me is okay. Yeah, um, yeah, we're all okay. And I try not to beat myself up too much. Like after going through my own personal tower moment recently, also I'm like, I don't want to make myself feel bad for kind of going through what I have been going through, and this extends to my magical, my spiritual practice as well. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing the thing. Like I said I was gonna do. Why am I not doing this? What's happening? Um, and this movie is a nice little reset. I love watching. I'm gonna watch this movie again in around Halloween, Samhain, because it's a ritual. But it's something about this movie that does a little reset for me and kind of reminds me that what I'm doing is good. There is literally magic in the mundane, and it's okay. Yeah, that's how I see this movie too. It's my little reset. There's this. Let me think. Practical magic, obviously. Um, I usually watch Charmed every other year. This series, another magical reset. Don't ask why. It just is. And there's something else, and I can't think of it right now. But there's something else that I just know at a certain time. Oh, The Good Witch. I'm gonna watch that as well. That's the other one that something about it does something for me. It's like a reset. I don't know. I feel more witchy when and I feel like okay. All right. I watch it every time it comes on. There you go. Um, so the only other thing that I just want to talk about, if you are inspired by the movie and it's got your thinking and you're like, oh yeah, I do want to do, more spells, and specifically the grimoire in the book. I do sell these magical record keeping Book of Shadows. So we have the Hoodoo Grimoire, the Book of Shadows for the Hearth, which is probably more on trend. But if you're more the Jilly type, the Book of Shadows for the Love Witch, or get them all. These books are set up so that you can get some front facing information to sort of get the practice going. But in the back, you have blank pages to continue your own personal magical journey. And these are my copies, so I actually have pages that I've created in here as well. And yeah, so there you go. So they are available at my website, leaptaken.com. They're also available at Amazon. The links are in the description, and as well as the TikTok shop. And I am happy and grateful that this one, I actually had to order extra copies because these were almost sold out. So I have more copies coming in the next couple days because my stock got so low. They threw in. Yeah. But yeah, so I'm very grateful for that. Because people seem to really love that one. And I knew there was you never know what's going to be popular with people. I don't know, but I know there's nothing like this on the market, by the way. No one has a Hoodoo Grimoire set up with front facing information that is relevant, but enough that could get you started, the basic information. I'm not, this is still, Hoodoo is still considered a closed practice, just to be clear. However, there is enough information here, and I'm talking about modern hoodoo, by the way. So the front part of this book is not talking about the book of Psalms, it's not giving you prayers, it's not talking about the Bible or anything like that. This is introduction to modern hoodoo, okay? And then the rest of they're going to be the blank pages like I have here, where I've started adding my own work and things like that, and you can make it your own. And I actually use my books, by the way. I actually use them, so I don't just sell. This is, if you follow this channel, I do Book of Shadow pages and stuff like that. I do that for my own personal fun. Like I enjoy recording that knowledge and that information, and I'm also a collector, so I like to collect my spells and rituals and recipes and things like that, and magical recipes and things of that nature. All right. So I will be back. You'll see the upcoming video, solar plexus, I believe, on Sunday for Sunday Deep Dive. I'm enjoying making those videos, by the way. I hope you guys like it. And yeah, we'll continue the summer series going into the next week. I'm looking at my calendar. So we have 1 week until the summer solstice countdown. That's going to be next week. Summer solstice, if you didn't know, is going to be Friday, June 20th. That's the official summer solstice. I celebrate, well, it's a season, so it starts the 20th. So for me, it's like the 20th, the 21st, the 22nd as well. But y'all get it. But yeah, this Hot Witch Summer series continues up until then. And the whole point is I hopefully inspire you, because I'm inspiring myself with this, to continue this magic through the summer. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Thank you, Empress Goff. Thank you, Gemstones, as well, and anybody else here that's watching. I appreciate everybody, and I will see y'all soon. Don't forget to like the YouTube stuff, subscribe, share. It does help the channel, and hopefully it'll boost my little engine that could a little bit further. But I appreciate everybody, and yeah, thanks for watching. All right, bye, and have a good weekend.